We head back out to the water with the big boats, the Unlimiteds, and it's time for the wild card. And here is your only headline. Somebody out of this race is going to make it to the finals, but only one. It's the wild card next.
The Unlimited Wild Card Heat is brought to you by Whirlpool, the world's toughest appliance manufacturer, and is presented for Seafair by Oh Boy Oberto. Oberto Beef Jerky. Eat like an alpha.
Here are the boats, some of which are not racing anymore, but the red dot, Miss Jillian's, has dropped out. Peters and May, Washington Truck, Dispatch, Matrix, and Car Pros no longer racing in the wild card either. Taking a look at the course, the wind picking up just a little bit, as it often does down here along the shores of Lake Washington. Although it shows only 2 miles an hour, we're getting a breeze up here. Let's take a look at the drivers. Kip Brown will be piloting the Miss Red Dot, and he's had a couple of second place finishes, Mike.
But as you heard him say, Steve, if he had made a couple of mistakes, he might be a front runner in the final heat. He's going to have to earn the trailer position now.
Chris Francis, Kip Brown is ready to make it to the finals, isn't he?
And he actually self-deprecatingly said, you know, I'm prone to mistakes, so if I don't make any and I stay inside, I'll get the job done.
The Miss Jillian's boat, the U13 team, they have dropped out, and Cal Phipps is a pretty good driver. We're going to miss him in this race, Chip.
We are. They've had a really bad weekend. This boat usually performs much better than they have this weekend. They just couldn't find the handle this week.
Can the Shoemaker's boat, the U37 boat, the Peters and May, can they do what they need to do, Mike, to make it to the finals?
Well, they've been consistent, but they haven't been real fast. They've been finishing, and young John Zimmerman's doing a good job with that boat, but he certainly gives up some horsepower to a couple of the others in this heat.
Our old buddy Mark Evans in the U57 boat. Chip, can he come back and can he win another one at Seattle?
Well, I would ordinarily say he doesn't have a chance, but they've got Mr. Excitement in the seat there. And when you got Mr. Excitement, Mark Evans in there, you never know what he can come up with.
And finally, the Matrix System boat, Mike Weber. Michael?
He's given a good account of himself. He's down on equipment, doesn't have quite the resources that some of the other teams have, Steve, but the reality is that he's improving little by little by little. And this might be yet another step in that direction.
Still trying to get one of the boats. That's the Matrix boat. Get it fired up down there on the water. Let's head down to Lee Stoll right now in the Ken Muscatel pits, and they really are unhappy that they can't run in this race, Lee.
I think because, you know, Ken was so instrumental in getting that race in the Middle East, the fact that he can't go and race is horribly disappointing to him. It really was Ken that put that race on the map.
And they really did work hard to get that boat put back together. As we're looking now, just about a minute to go in this wild card heat. So that shows me then 1, 2, 3, 4 boats are up. And right now we're still waiting for the Matrix. So right now only 3 boats out on the water. But somebody will go to the finals. Patrick?
Well, I kind of hope in a sense that a boat where the owner of the boat puts every dollar he earns into that boat to keep it competitive and to keep it running. That's Nate Brown, a former driver here on the course. And with Kip Brown driving it, that crossed my fingers. He needs to win something out here today. So for you, Nate Brown, we're rooting for you.
All right, Patrick, and Nate Brown's team is going to have the inside. His nephew Kip is going to drive that boat from lane number 1. In the number 2 lane, it's going to be the Peters and May. In the number 3 outside, it's going to be the Washington Truck Dispatch with Mark Evans. Those are the only 3 starters. The Matrix, unfortunately, did not make it into this heat, could not leave the dock. And that has to be a great disappointment for those folks from Pennsylvania. Down to the line, they're coming now with 4-3, a little bit early. Have to back off just a tad to avoid a jump. Don't look like we're going to have any kind of a jump at all as we go across the line. And from the inside, the advantage, of course, is going to be the red dot boat. But what a nice turn by John Zimmerman there in that 3-lane. Chip, he's handling it very nicely.
And I'm afraid Mr. Brown made a mistake. He was a little early, as you said, coming to the line, so he had to back off. They gave the 2 boats on the outside the jump, and here comes the power of the red dot, and I think he'll just take care of business now.
That's exactly right. Although, I'll tell you what, Zimmerman is looking as fast as we've seen him all weekend right now. The red dot qualified in the middle 140s, and Zimmerman barely was able to get past 135 to qualify with that Peters and May. But Billy Shoemaker's an old codger who knows what he's doing at a boat racing, so his team has done very, very well. Pat, he's putting a good show on there.
We have that racing that we love to see here on the lake. They're side by side. The rooster tails are they're kicking up, and they turned the first lap at 138 miles an hour.
That's about as fast as the Peters and May has gone all weekend here, so that is an excellent adjustment or two they made on that boat, and it looks as though Kip Brown's having a little problem catching him.
I'm dumbfounded, actually. This boat has not performed really for 2 weeks that I've seen it. This performance is unbelievable. The red dot looked very, very good all day long. I thought they might even be a contender, but look at the Peters and May. It's unbelievable from the outside, nevertheless.
And this is a borrowed Leland boat, their best boat, of course, destroyed in that Gold Cup crash with the seawall back in Detroit a few weeks back. And John Zimmerman, just a replacement driver because J.W. Myers, their regular driver, was injured in that accident and is not going to be racing the remainder of the season, perhaps at Doha. But at the end of lap number 2, it again is the Peters and May, and they've got something to cheer about because he's got a whole rooster tail lead now on Kip Brown. Chippy's got it under control.
Going back, I know I've been pounding hard on the start and how important that is. And I think what you're seeing is a guy that got a great start versus a guy who had the inside but was early, had to back out of the throttle. Zimmerman had a ton of momentum, and I think he's going to find himself in the final, although in the back of the lead, the first group.
Well, over in Tri-Cities 2 weeks ago, Zimmerman found his way into the final. Nobody would have believed that was possible, the way things had gone for them over there in the sunshine of Pasco, Kennewick, Richland. And now, coming off the exit pin and eyeing his first checkered flag on Lake Washington, here comes John Zimmerman in the Peters and May, and he will win this wild card heat and goes on into the final.
Oh, that's great that Billy Shoemaker gets something out of today. His boat wins the Provisional.
Yeah, Billy and Jane have worked hard to keep this thing going, this whole team going. They've been he's been a real ram charger with this Peters and May team, and they've had a great deal of luck out here. They've been a winner in the past, but this has been their worst luck, so to speak. But something to now smile about as John Zimmerman brings their boat home a winner in this wild card heat, and that was an awfully good show.
And a tip of the hat to the Schumachers. The easiest thing for them to have done when their boat hit the seawall in Detroit, broke every bone in their driver's foot, would have been to say, that's it, we've had it. But they didn't. They leased a boat. They worked really hard. Their crew worked hard. It's not the best of equipment. For them to come out here and do this, I'm very, very proud and happy for them.
And Chip, those were decent speeds, 138, 137, and 138 miles an hour.
That's decent on any competition water. You got it exactly right, Pat. And so the Peters and May, that brilliant lime green and blue color, and quite a combination there. And as Pat was mentioning, those are the folks who transport these boats across the ocean, and we'll do that to take the top 10 of these unlimited hydroplanes off to Doha, Qatar, in the month of November.
And this is another example how important that Middle East race is, because I think the Schumachers would have walked away if it wasn't for the Middle East. But they said, look, we have a good amount of points, even though our boat's damaged. Let's put a boat together. Let's see if we can just hang on to get to the Middle East, get that big payday.
You know who's probably cheering the loudest right now for this team is J.W. Myers, whose foot was just shattered, and he's watching all this. I mean, I know he wants to be back in the boat, but he's got to be cheering John Zimmerman on.
He's cheering him on. There's no question he's cheering him on, but it's so painful. It is a little bit like watching your brother go out with your date, you know? I mean, this was his team. He was so, I know J.W., he was so excited, and it's really hard to watch somebody take your girl to the prom. Or your brother.
Well,
that would be really weird, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be, actually. Gee, you made me just change my whole train of thinking there, Chip. But thanks for that. Well, there he is right there, John Zimmerman, who, by the way, is a champion driver in his own right. Mike, he's been in a lot of classes. He's a world record holder. This guy is good behind the wheel.
Oh, that's why they picked him. This is a fellow who's got a veteran career behind him already, and stepped up to the Unlimiteds earlier this year. He had a couple of heats in Unlimiteds before he joined the Schumacher team, and frankly, this has got to excite him a lot to win on Lake Washington, because he, like so many other drivers in this part of the country, have often thought of what would it be like to get a checkered flag at Seafair.
He is just about ready as he takes the helmet off to jump up on the finger pier there, and he's going to be greeted by, well, yes, kisses all around, but Lee Stoll is going to jump in and chat with him as well in just a couple of seconds as he's kind of getting all of the gear off. Chip?
You know what's interesting is here is a team ecstatic that they're, won the provisional. Now this is a team, remember, that beat Dave Villwalk and the powerful Elam team and won the whole thing. Look at now they're ecstatic that they won the the wild card. So quite a change for this team.
Lee Stoll is set. Let's go down to her.
John, this could have been a championship race considering what your crew is looking like right now. Just ecstatic on the dock here.
This is the first time I've ever won a heat of racing. We came here with an underdog boat. We didn't know what our chances were, and we did the best we could expect.
What went so right?
The crew is wonderful. They work hard and they never give up.
And I think one of your biggest fans right now is probably JW. What do you think he thinks of this?
I'm sure J-Dub loves it. And I'd really like to thank Ex Officio and Peters and May and the United States Marine Corps for sponsoring this boat and making it happen.
And John Schumacher, you're the owner. This team has been through so much over the past couple of weeks. What does it feel like to see them at this end of it?
It's really wonderful to see John pull out in front like that. John did a fabulous job driving the boat, and I'm happy for Peters and May. At least we got into the final heat. And at the beginning of the weekend, I just didn't think it would happen, but congratulations, John.
And I'm calling you John because I'm just so used to the name now, but really congratulations for your team. Guys, back to you.
All right, Lee, thanks very much. Let's head over to Chris Francis on the other side of the pits, maybe a little less ecstatic in the Red Dot camp. Chris?
Yeah, I think so, Steve. It's one of those things where anything can happen, and disappointed Kip Brown here. Just take me to that start a little bit. Had to back off a little, I guess.
Well, I didn't want to jump, and I set myself up in an improper fashion, and kudos to the U-37 guys that missed Peters and May, and John Zimmerman. I mean, a rookie, and he's in his final, and I'm proud of them. He's a friend of mine, and I hate it for my guys because they've worked their butts off all day, and I let them down, and that's really, really unfortunate. To be totally honest with you, I counted my chickens before they hatched. I really felt like we had this thing in the bag and that I could be a little bit conservative and still drive around those guys, and boy, I was wrong. And I apologize to my team and the Red Dot Corporation for not getting them the exposure that they deserve.
Humble Kip Brown, and back up to you guys. He's disappointed.
Well, it sounds like it. You don't hear drivers apologizing like that very often. Here are the unofficial results. The Miss Peters and May, the Red Dot, and then Mark Evans' boat, the Washington Truck Dispatch, and the other threes did not start. That is your Wild Card Unlimited results.
The Unlimited Wild Card Heat has been brought to you by Whirlpool, the world's largest appliance manufacturer.
Congratulations to John Zimmerman and the Miss Peters and May, the Geico Photo Finish winner of the Wild Card Heat. Remember, your search for the best car insurance isn't over until you check out Geico at geico.com.